questions, thoughts, insights?
Insight from earlier. It's interesting. I mean, I belong to a very successful sales organization, and there is not a monthly. We have an executive meeting when we kind of go over our different channels, and there has not been one meeting in a year that the CEO didn't say, where are we measuring it? So even accomplished, skilled people, if you don't follow a system, then that question continues to come up. And I think it's amazing, because if you follow the grid, I mean, it's labeled right there. You have got to have that accountability and follow up, and you've got to be able to check how you're doing against your plan. And it's missed time and time again. It's astounding.
Neat. Matthew, you want to bring a psychology of people specifically to CPAs and accounting professionals all around the country and all around the world. Questions, thoughts you have, Matthew?
I'm just like, this is just so much. I think there is so much value here that people just are not seeing, and I just really wish and hope that we can open their eyes so that they can see, look at all that is here and all the potential, so much time that could be saved, so much money that could be made, so much more efficiency that could be had. There's just so much here. I just don't even know where to begin, Mark.
Well, I think the thing is for CPAs, is when you look at it, is CPAs, when you ask them, do you want to increase your income? They'll almost always pause and say, why? Because CPAs actually think like employees. Not all of them, just most of them. And so they think, when I grow my business, I'm going to have more work. And that's an employee. That's how employees think. Like, I want to grow the business, but if I grow the business, I'm going to have more work to do. A business owner doesn't think like that. So when you look at box 23, measure all cost, and you look at all the measurements here, this is cost accounting. Like there is so much additional consulting business. There is so much additional accounting business that's here that businesses want to pay for. I was talking to a good friend of mine, and he's a CPA, owns a very successful company out in the Boston area. And I said to him, do you know that your accounting tax customers want to pay you more money? And he's like, no. I'm like, no, they do. He's like, I'm going to have to disagree with you, Mark. I don't think they want to pay you more money. I said, well, if they don't want to pay you more money, then they're looking at you as a commodity. Because commodities you want to go ahead and pay less for. They're not looking at you as an investment. And so if they were looking at you as an investment, if they invest $5,000 a month into your company and you're giving them a great return, they want to invest $6,000 or $7,000 or $8,000 or $9,000 or $10,000 because they're getting a great return on the $5,000. So that's what business owners do. When business owners get a great return on what they're investing, then they want to invest more. That's just business owners. That's what business owners do. He's like, wow, I never thought of it that way. And so CPAs and accountants, they're in the best position to set up the infrastructure to be able to measure all the results, because you not only, when you look at measuring results, you look at box 10 and box 22. I mean, how many companies don't measure the cost of where their leads coming, what their leads are? Or some leads cost 2 to 3 times as much in pre-sales or sales to get through the process. When you look at box 7, asking for referrals, those leads, you're going to typically go ahead and have them far more profitable, and you don't have the cost that comes with area 1, 2, and sometimes 3, some part of 3. So when accountants understand, when they pass Section 5 of the CPA exam, if you're not a CPA, you're like, okay, I don't know what that is. There's different sections. If you are a CPA and you say, I didn't know there was a Section 5, don't worry, it's brand new. If you're brand new CPA, you're like, I just took the CPA exam a month ago, and there were only 4. It's because Section 5 hasn't been created yet. And so it's Section 5 hasn't been created yet. And so it's understanding the 530 grid. This is where deep cost accounting comes into play, where you have to be able to go through and understand it. And so I think teaching CPAs that they can make a lot more money, they can work a lot less hours, and they can make their clients a lot more money when they embrace the 530 grid, Matthew. That's the key. That's the secret. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You know, Mark, it's interesting because every time I see somebody who puts together their marketing plan, has their budget and all that stuff together, to me, at least in our industry, there's 2 things that are never seem to get columns get on the marketing budget. And that's the number of leads that are generated by each of the things I'm going to spend money on, and the number of closed deals from those leads.
Yep.
And whatever market budget I've ever seen, none of them ever have that kind of information as to how many leads did I get and how many sales did I get out of those leads.
Yep. And this is why, and I totally get, and I appreciate Tom, sharing years ago with Life Masters and Legacy Partners, take out all of the arrows. I totally get why. It's clean. It's pretty, it's easy. It's pretty straightforward. But until you understand how every one of these boxes interact with every other one of these boxes, well, you haven't understood what Tom understood intuitively. He internalized it immediately when he saw it. He's like, it's the holy grail of business. It'll work for a multi-billion-dollar company worldwide, or it'll work for a kid with a lemonade stand. It works globally. It's scalable to any level that you want it to be done. Nice. Janae, any questions?
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Just real quick, when you were talking to Matthew and you mentioned CPA, you talk to them, you want to grow your business, there was a pause. What's the outcome of the pause? They just pause and yes, or what if the pause is, I am really content just where I am?
That's a question for the DNA for Life, the next lesson. Because in quantum thinking, if we're in quantum thinking, that person has a limiting belief if they say that. And what is that limiting belief? If somebody says they're content, they're good where they're at, they're thinking at a linear level. They're not thinking at a quantum level. What would a quantum person say? What question would a quantum person ask? They would ask, so let me get this, how many hours are you working a week? I'm working 20 hours a week, or whatever it is. Okay. And how much are you earning? I'm earning $1 million. Okay, so you're working 20 hours a week earning $1 million, and you're content with that. Yes. Okay, so if you could go ahead and earn $5 million, if you could earn $5 million versus $1 million and not increase your hours at all, you wouldn't want to do that. See, if somebody is saying they're content, Paul, they're not thinking like a human being, I don't think. They're not thinking at a quantum level. Like we were born, like we have something inside of us that says we want more. But people will tend to become content because they think, well, I'm happy where I'm going to have to make a sacrifice of time to get more money. Well, if you no longer had to worry about that, if you could make 5 times, 10 times the amount of money and actually work less, would you want to do that? And if somebody said,
I can't see.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, if somebody says no, say, well, you know what, let me come in, and then I know a bunch of great causes that'll take that extra $4 million or $9 million from you. There's so many places, so the person doesn't have a heart. They don't have a compassion. They don't understand that, you know, there's so many kids over in Africa that are dying because they don't have water, good, clean water. There's so many kids that are malnutrition throughout the world. Like there's just all of these needs, so they don't have a large enough vision. And again, next lesson will help people learn how to discover their life vision in less than 20 minutes, why they were put on this planet. Once somebody discovers their life vision, why they were put on the planet, everything else in life starts to make sense. It's insane. I don't know how we're going to fit it all, you know, in one lesson. Janae, what would you like? Any questions, thoughts you have?
No, it's just intriguing. It's so intriguing. I have a training at 12:30, but I can't seem to drop off because I'm just trying to learn more about it and how people are motivated. Like Paul touched on it with our sales team and some of our leadership. We don't really have a good tracking system of setting goals and making sure that we're attacking or marketing the right people, and what are we following up? Do we have a system of follow-up? And we could be capturing way more business if we did. So it's just intriguing trying to wrap my brain around it myself and to see different ways. If a system similar was implemented, how much more successful things would be.
See, this is where the engine is. You know, whatever success a company's having, they're doing it often through hard work and being really good at what they do, which there's nothing wrong with working hard and being good at what you do. But if you fine-tune your engine, all of a sudden you're going to get better gas mileage, you're going to get further faster, and it's really, in a way, it's not that hard. If you understand, and if you have somebody that comes in and they know how to engineer these systems, it's amazing how easy it really can be. Elise, I'm sorry, go ahead. Elise, questions, thoughts you had?
Well, so, you know, we've talked a lot about recruiting, onboarding, and retaining in terms of team members. How can you use the concepts of psychology of people in terms of recruiting and retaining clients? Can you talk a bit more about that?
Yeah, it's the same exact process. And so anything that you're doing, you're going through in marketing. So how do you market to new clients? How do you market to employees? You know, when you look at each of the different areas, so clients, employees, contractors, vendors, referral partners, donors, family, friends, association, any group of people, they all have those 5 elements. They all have the 6 levels of proficiency. They all need to have leadership. They all need to have profitable partnerships. So each of these things, that's where one system. Now, it'll be implemented. It's like when you build a factory to manufacture cars. If you engineer it properly, it can manufacture motorcycles. It can, SUVs. It can do, tanks, anything. If you engineer it properly, if you have the right individuals who really understand deeply how to engineer and build this, they'll build it to do whatever you want, and you may have different people using it, but the same technologies, the same concepts, all the same processes, all of those type of things. Does that help, Elise?
Okay. Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Cool. Ashley, you're brand new. Welcome. You are starting your own company, and so just so excited. Congratulations for being able to do that and working through Life Masteries and helping them do all of those things. I know you're brand new to it. Any questions or thought, Ashley, that you have?
Okay, so the leaks between the pipelines.
Yes.
1 second. Would that be a lack of communication?
Sorry, one more time?
Would that be from lack of communication between the branches?
Great question. It can be so many things. It's just the leaks can happen. We have a system we've designed for our company and for our clients, and it's called the leaky pipe system. And what that is it takes high level, like super high level, worldwide thought leaders, and it takes it and puts it into a system where somebody, like a marketing intern, when they have a leak that's going on, they can go to the leaky pipe library and they can go through a checklist and say, is it this? 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 And so it actually puts, like, people who have 30, 40, 50 years of experience in business, and it puts it into a system to find out, why is that leak happening? And so it could be great insight. That's what I love about you. It could be, Ashley, poor communications or poor listening in marketing to pre-sales. It could be a technology issue. It could be a lack of discipline issues. It could be a lack of systems issues, structural issues. There's a whole bunch of reasons why there's leaks that happen between each of these different areas.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
And that's one of the things. And so for those that are listening, going through this, Ashley is starting her own EVA company, Executive Virtual Assistant Company. It's very different from a virtual assistant company. A virtual assistant company will go in, and there's nothing wrong with those. I have found that the only ones I work with are the ones certified through Life Masteries Institute. So there's only 14% of them that make it through the process. It's such a grueling process. It's harder to do that than it is to get your CPA. So they're unbelievable in what they're doing. But a virtual assistant will go ahead and do the work. An executive virtual assistant will often, so my company contracts, I think it's with 11 virtual assistant, or EVAs, executive virtual assistants. We contract with 11 of them. It's one of the secrets that I have to getting an extra 20 hours of free time a week and taking 1 week off every month is that I'm using EVAs. They complement employees. So if they don't replace employees, they do things that employees cannot do, are not able to do. And economically, it's a whole lot more economical to have an EVA too, but they'll supercharge your employees. So they'll help you get a lot more. The employees will be much more productive, but they go through so much training and so much certification. They're experts at building these type of systems. To design and engineer and architect these systems, you want to get somebody who's certified as an Action Vision coach, because they're certified in how to engineer and architect these systems, and they go through even more training and development to make sure that all of these different pieces work and interconnect together. All right, well, this has been awesome. Anyone have any other questions or thoughts before we wrap it up here? All right.
Final thought.
Yep.
Mark, like Janae, I told you I had 45 minutes. So 20 minutes later, I couldn't get off the call either. This was amazing.
It's crazy. And once you get into the world of Life Masteries and there's courses, they're totally different than any other courses on the planet. They just are. I've never experienced anything like the courses, the quality, the delivery, the content, the precision, the follow-up to the courses. So again, make sure you're internalizing it. To do that, you have to be part of community. So, number one, connect with your art mentor with what you learned, actions, and will take, and the next thing you need to learn. Number two is deep learning. You think you learn more from your mentor, but you don't. You actually have deep learning from your two art buddies to manage up and out and apply what they learned. And so you'll be, when you join, you can bring on your two art buddies and they can go ahead and join with you. You can go through, or Life Masteries will go ahead and assign you two art buddies, which create connection and a lot of cool things. You have to be part of follow-through. If you aren't part of follow-through, you know, it's not unusual. People only apply 3%. If you don't have follow-through, and so learning to earning, go to that. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can do follow-through. Economically, everyone can afford to do that in the follow-through. So there's all different types of follow-through programs from Life Masteries and Legacy Partners. If you have any questions on anything we covered today, connect with the individual who invited you to participate, your art mentor, or you can call toll-free 888-230-2300. That's 888-230-2300. Or if you're calling in outside the U.S., you can call the U.S.-based number 630-393-9909. That's 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.